third demo for Vinny and Mia doing the generic motion for family law. I'm going to hand over to whoever's going to be showing the screen, Mia. Hopefully we can, we've kind of gone through a lot of the teething problems. So yeah, over to you, Mia and Vinny.
Okay, awesome. You can hear me, right? I unmuted my, yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Okay, so.
Wait, I'm recording, sorry. I was, okay.
Okay, perfect. Caroline and I were talking yesterday about this screen potentially having a title before here at the top, and then also changing forms to singular. I just don't know if I should be pulling or doing that into my own code, or if the title.
I'm going to flag that for something that we're going to talk about on Monday.
Okay.
I think it's probably better that you don't pull this in and edit it. I think that we'll make some decisions and then it'll be included automatically. So
okay.
Mass access project screen.
I did like the look of that though, like with a title, like we just didn't know what to name it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was another problem. Okay. And then this is the next page.
I really like this language. This looks really, really good, guys. I don't have any comments besides that it looks good. I think anybody else?
To me, the lead is a bit buried, but if it's important that they read the whole thing, then it should be at the bottom. So
I think that's probably the right place, because it does get someone to read the whole thing, or at least gets people to look over the whole thing to get to the bottom.
Yeah.
Is that right? Should I go to the next one? Okay. So if you hit no here, this is the page you get. And Caroline made a comment yesterday about how we probably shouldn't be directing the user to be starting a new case, but rather directing them to other resources. Like,
cool.
Yeah, we had a discussion, I think, on Slack about this with Quentin and Kate weighed in on it, and we need to go find that conversation in Slack and then take care of this. So the last thing we want to be doing is telling people to go to court if they don't have to.
Okay. Yeah.
This might be just a language thing. I'm not sure. Did we mention about the sorry at the top?
Yeah, it was longer than that, but it was basically, we could say, uh-oh, mistake. I mean, that's what we need to think about is, go away. This isn't the interview for you. So,
Eleni, Jason, and James, what did you have on your kickout screens?
It was little less. It was less text. It was more just like, this interview isn't for you, and then with the option to exit and restart.
So I think the heading text, because I'm not sure if the sorry just looks a bit like out of place, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a bit weird.
It can be sorry we can't help,
or unfortunately we can't help, or I'm afraid we can't help.
I just remember seeing Jason, James, and Eleni's one and thinking that looks really nice.
I think it was
this interview isn't for you, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I'll check and confirm though.
Okay, maybe just put that in the chat, please.
Some of that is also, I think, Quentin, you raised on Slack, is how are we going to refer to these things? I mean, we had this conversation in the beginning, but
yeah,
this whole thing about what are we going to call this tool?
Well, I think what I've kind of landed on, we had two versions of the audience for that. I think for the person who's already starting it, we can just call it an online form. I think that people understand what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If that we're referring to the thing they're working on right now, we call it online form. But the other audience is an outward facing one. Like, how do we get them to know the capabilities of what they're using, of what we're working on? And that's where I think online form doesn't quite do enough work there, right? Because we do a lot more than just let someone fill in a piece of paper.
So on this screen, would you say this online form isn't for you?
Yes.
Or I kind of like what David was saying is, unfortunately we can't help you. I like that we can't, that sort of that connection in terms of direct address. We can't help you.
Yeah, sorry, we can't help you. I was thinking sorry, we can't help you because it's just shorter version, unfortunately. That's all.
I mean, the other interviews I've done is the attorneys I worked with really didn't like to say sorry. They're very concerned that the interview does not represent a lawyer.
Thank you for this. Sorry, Jason. Thank you for that text. Jason just says the text that they use is based on your answer to the previous question. This interview isn't for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess we shouldn't use the word interview, huh?
Yeah.
I think here, even just to keep it short, this form isn't for you might be enough.
Except it's not. I think that's the thing. This isn't a form. The form.
This online form isn't for you.
It's not the form that isn't for them. It's the interview isn't. So you see what I'm saying? It's the form. They might be able to use the form, but what we're providing isn't for them. And that's why I stay away from this whole idea of this. What we're providing is not a form. We're providing a tool for filling out a form. I don't think we should say tool, but it's not. I don't think we should call it a form. What we're doing.
So I'm going to flag this as discussion for something that we need to figure out at like a kind of.
Could we say something like the mass access probation, whatever the thing is called, is not for you? This mass access blah blah probation is not for you.
Yeah, I think you're right. It should go for the higher decision-making group, because I like the idea of having an agent behind this. Like, we at Mass Project can't help you.
Yeah.
Rather than this objective thing isn't for you.
So I've noted it as something that we need to talk about on Monday, and I think that what we'll do is we'll flag it as this is something that we will raise, and then you guys can amend. Everybody who has these kick-out screens or mentions interview or whatever can amend
like a suggested structure for it. Yeah.
And then
I'll start 2 threads on the assembly line channel too, for people to weigh in. And my thought is there's 2 audiences for the message, like the external one and then the person who's actually already started it.
Well, you're not talking about kick-out screens.
No, for the descriptor of our interviews, which I still think is the clearest term for us, but I don't think anyone else understands what it means.
Right. No, when I first came, I didn't know what the heck you were talking about.
Yeah.
This might be something that we wanted to get people to research. It's kind of like, what do, what's it called?
What do other people call them?
What is
no one has a good name.
Okay.
No one has we've been asking.
Quentin and I spent like an hour yesterday trying to think about this.
Yeah.
Jason Taché actually maybe has some good ideas. He had written a whole article for the ABA Journal about this idea. Not saying.
But this would be the
TurboTax.
This would be the perfect.
TurboTax, that's the one.
Yeah, this would be the perfect thing to do some user testing on. Is to go into the courts or go to the court service centers and say, here's a list of names. What would you? Here's the experience. What would you call this, or what do you like best? And I doubt that somebody might come up with something better than what we have, but that would be definitely a really good project.
Yeah, and one thought, and I realize we're taking too much time to do this during Mia's time.
Sorry, guys.
Is the reason why TurboTax works is because they have an established brand. So we just have to become popular enough that whatever snazzy name we invent becomes
it's like a mass access thing. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so apologies for getting away from the topic there, guys. I flagged it for discussion on Monday, and then we will get back to everybody.
2 more demos after.
So just one thing. One bit of feedback I've gotten on the forms we've been working on in Code for Boston is that the kick-out screens are not clear that like something like that something has gone wrong, and I think the exit button and the restart button help. But maybe that was a different situation. But they wanted to have kind of an alert danger box, which was like a red box at the top that just says, the end, kind of something that says like, this is the end. Just as and that might be a management question, but just put that down as a practice for ending screens, of discussing that as a convention for kick-out screens.
Got it.
Yep.
So my next question was just in regard to the starting a new case, if we should still keep this language or if we should change it to link just to different resources.
Yes, different resources. Definitely go to different resources. Not going to, you don't want to start a new case. You could, I mean, this is a Kate thing but I think, again, this is with kick-out screens. You don't want, if people need legal help, they don't go to the court.
Okay. And then when we go back here, if we say yes, this is the screen that appears.
I'm not sure, are we allowed to ask other questions now? Because this is something that we flagged with Jason, James, and Eleni. They have a similar situation where they might have multiple docket numbers. And we thought maybe it's something that we can actually just flag and discuss after the fact. But I know that you guys had some discussion with Kate on this, how to account for the multiple docket numbers and that kind of thing.
Yep.
So I'm just flagging that as something that we want to get you guys together to discuss that.
Okay.
So maybe Jason, James, and Rennie could just drop a note to me and Vinny, and maybe include Kate in that as well.
Mia, when you're demoing this, why don't you add more than one, do a couple of docket numbers, and then at the end you can show people what you've got.
Okay. Okay.
And when a decision is come to, I think it would be nice to find a place to document it.
Yep. 100%.
So when you say that you don't know the court information and docket numbers, this is what appears.
Okay.
So this is another kick-out screen.
Oh, I like the instructions as well. And is this something that Vinny? Is this something that you helped put in?
Yeah, that's what he did.
Yeah, sorry, I'm outside. Sorry, I'm being muted for now.
No worries, no worries. Okay, yeah, I like this a lot. I think that this might be something that we want to actually document as a standard way for looking for that kind of thing. I'll flag that. Okay.
Okay. And then, is there any other comments here? Okay. Then when we hit yes here, we're asked which court, and we took out the court locator here. And then, any other comments?
So this is, we just had like a really long discussion about this kind of thing. So it's something that we flagged for Management Monday, where we're going to be talking about how to deal with responding cases that you're responding. But I think that this, for now, MVP, this looks good.
Okay.
This is one where they already know their court?
Yeah, because that's the instructions right here, is if you do know, this tells you how.
Oh, I see. Right. Got it.
And then yes, so then you have your court and then docket number. Then we can add more docket numbers here.
Do you have a limit on how many docket numbers you can add?
I don't think I do, just because Kate said in some cases where there's kids and they're unmarried, every kid has their own docket number.
That's what I was saying. And do you remember she said something like you can have 10 kids basically, like?
Yeah.
So I was saying this is the question that we had, was basically how do we fit that all on one thing? We don't want to have addenda for that. And I remember we did enlarge the PDF, the input on the PDF, but I couldn't quite remember how we dealt with did we just accept for MVP purposes that we're kind of hoping that they only have like 3 or 4 kids?
I forget how many fit exactly, but it does accept a good number of docket numbers. I think up to like 5 or 6. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But you do need to then put a limit on it. You need to put a limit on the maximum number of docket numbers to be the amount of docket numbers that will fit on there. Like you need to provide that. You need to there's a way to set a limit on the number of these that there can be.
Okay.
I think it's a good question for Kate, because depending on how the docket numbers are set up, that may or may not end up being high value, and how the court clerk actually deals with it when there are a lot of docket numbers.
Yeah.
I don't think we can assume that that's the right answer. So that's a good question for Kate. I feel
I'm just saying if there's a box of fixed size and that's all there is, then there does need to be a limit. That's all I'm saying.
There's a practical choice to be made. I think Kate weighed in on and decided
sure.
that was enough room. So we could check with her to see if that's changed from when we asked this like 3 months ago, or it might be that it's okay based on how the clerk actually deals with the form.
Okay, I'm flagging it.
Okay. Should I go next page?
Yeah.
And then it asks if you already have a hearing. If you say no, nothing appears. But if you say yes, you'll get asked for the city date and time.
Mia, I know we did have this discussion about the court name. I don't want to take you all the way back, but the language in your court name question is still, the sub question still implies that you can pick, and you don't want to. It's a little bit confusing. So I know you'll figure it out when you go back to that, but it's I think it's something like your case can be heard in these courts, probate and family court, but that sub question shouldn't be there at all. We shouldn't have any sub question there unless it's look at your documents. I just noticed that now because, we were kind of in a hurry last night. So. Okay.
I'm just going to say no here. And then this is just a basic question. I'm assuming no comments.
Nope.
Not
who is the other side in your case? It can be a business or a person. It gives you those options. And so,
I've forgotten what we've said about calling them the defendant or plaintiff or whatever, but I was just thinking about that the other day, but you don't have to.
Here, you mean?
Yeah.
Just because we haven't given them the definitions or descriptions yet, I think, the other side is easier for them to understand at this point in the form.
Sure. Could we ask them first who you are, the plaintiff or defendant? Could we ask that first, and then you can do the other side? Caroline, you're muted.
I think it's more important to say who's on the other side. It's
okay.
More, yeah, I think this is a better way to ask.
All right.
Then there's the screen. So if you say yes to either of these questions, the third question is going to appear, and then I'll just leave it.
Could you quickly just take a screenshot of that and send that to Jason, James, and Eleni?
Right. This is the thing that Kate flagged as it's passive and Jason, et cetera's thing, and we fixed it to active here. Do you need the court to keep your phone number?
Yeah. And this is, again, another one that we would maybe want to document, because I like this. And as we've seen, it's important it's been used a couple of times. Okay, so Jason, James,
Can we
and
put
Eleni,
this into basic questions? Could we put this question in basic questions?
I don't
we
know.
Should write a list.
Asking me.
I think Quentin has made a list of things we're going to put in basic questions, right? Do y'all want to just get started on that and start
I'd
adding
add
those?
this one to it.
Seems like a good one. I know we definitely have to make some changes on a code level for handling impounded information, and I haven't started on that, but I think it's a thing we want to do. This seems like it would go right along with that. Seems like a good one.
Where is this being tracked? Never mind. Management.
On GitHub.
Where is this being tracked?
There's a GitHub issue.
Okay. Awesome. Freaking awesome.
Okay. So I'm going to I'll impound it all. Or actually, no, I won't. I want all the screens to appear. So if I had said yes here to these ones, or just even to either of these, I wouldn't be asked my address as the user. But if I say no here, then my address pops up.
This is linked to the...
This is basic questions.
Right. Good.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the question that
This
it's a basic question, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We're gonna change that and hopefully it'll...
Okay, and then So I've added this.
I like that.
And then if you check this, you will not receive, you'll not be asked service questions because the court will have to do it.
Okay.
And then, but I'm gonna do it so that we can review the service questions. This one is different now as well. So you get the 3 options and you have to choose the, I don't know. I forget if this was new for this time or for last time. And if you click I don't know, it defaults to plaintiff or defendant.
Good one.
All right, we're good. And this is just what's on the here. We have examples too, so we'll just copy them.
Okay, I like these, yeah.
Okay. So back here, I'm just gonna, so we get the text on the request.
Does your form have addenda or not?
No.
Okay.
How much room is there for these on the form?
We've done the like overflow testing. There's a decent amount of room. And we have the, if it's an emergency, there's like 2 lines that get taken away.
I don't think any text should be changed. I think this might be another case where we do maximum number of characters.
Okay.
Okay. Including those 2 lines. So you'd have to leave enough space for that.
Okay. So then here, Caroline and I switched this order last night because it seems like it would be easier for the user to name their motion after they've thought out what they're asking for. And so we switched that order. And so
Okay.
that's.
So it helps crystallize what they're asking for, and then you ask them what the name is, as opposed to the other way around. Because kind of like what Quentin was saying in the previous demo was, you know, you don't want people to name the motion, then ask what they think about what they're asking for, and then have to go back and
Change it.
Yeah.
And so, any comments?
Yeah, this looks good.
And then
Do we, I was gonna say, do we want to show them what they described before, or is it easy enough for them to press back and forward again?
I mean, it's a screen before, so
Sure, okay.
Then this is the emergency one.
Right, this has changed, yeah.
Mia, I just realized, can you just take the will out of there? Emergencies get priority.
Okay. Use that.
Okay, this looks good. I like this.
Okay. I'm gonna do yes so that I can show the text that appears. And then this is the service question. So if you hit no, this is the text that appears. And then if you do yes, you get this question.
Okay.
And if you say yes, this is the text that's going to appear in the service date box. If you say no, you have the option of changing which date.
Okay.
Mia needs a huge round of applause for figuring out this.
Seriously.
When will you
job.
mail your motion? Is addition on another it's like a show if this is true and this is false. And it took us.
Not just, yeah.
But
it's even
very
more complicated. And it's even more complicated than that because then she has to deal with it on the review screen. So just like kudos.
This is huge.
Good job.
Just one thing, when you go back to the first, if you do the no, the clerk will call you. I did a plain language on this that we haven't captured. This you will need to discuss. That's on my GitHub branch that we didn't manage to copy over into your version, just so you, just a reminder there.
Okay. Then we can just do this one, and then we get this form.
Hey, can I just, there's just one other thing. I think there was something that we were going to check with Quentin about the doc assemble can figure out whether it's a weekend or a holiday, and we were going to see if we could pull that code in on that previous date thing.
Let's take a look at it.
So it's like, will you mail a motion today? But we were going to change. Your conditions are all good, but I think there's a way that we can default those dates based on the Quentin's code about holiday and weekend and things. So, and after hours. So we might.
So if it's after what, like 6 p.m. or something, they can't mail it that day. So we assume the next day, unless it's a holiday, in which case we go till.
Yeah, right. And so that
what about priority, like overnight and stuff, huh? You can get Sunday. Well, they're going to be closed though, so that may not matter.
So I'm just saying, maybe not for now, but I just wanted to raise that with you, Quentin. That was something
that actually might change. I like this phrasing. Instead of saying what date goes on it, we put in today's date, giving them the option to say, is it today? And then only showing them the date field if they need to change it.
Yeah.
Maybe we want to change this in the basic questions.
For the signature field.
Signature page, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, you're affected in basic questions.
Okay, so then, is this good for the screen now? Okay, then we got this one. We can open it. And yeah, so there's room for, it looks like 8 docket numbers.
That's a lot. That's good.
And then just about double the text that I put in, which was a decent amount of text.
Yeah.
But we still put the limits on. And then that all shows up. Okay.
That's a bit tricky for limits because you've got one text area and 2 boxes, and they depend on how much you've put in the other box. And okay, we'll
For the MVP?
Sure.
How much?
Well, no. The minimum values. I mean, the maximum values will exist, but it won't be graceful until after MVP.
Right.
Yeah, you could just split the characters in 2 and make those be the maximum for those 2 fields, and then later on.
Sure. What's up with that signature though?
I was gonna say Mia's famous signature.
My straight line. Then this is the newest thing though, and it's all thanks to Aubrey.
Oh, look at this.
So.
Sure.
Show off.
That is so impressive, guys. Between all of you.
This is beautiful.
This is beautiful.
That is how much
time you spend on it. Yeah, I know. I'm impressed with your patience to go through and do it all. That's the hardest part for me.
And I'm not going to go through and edit all of them, but they do all pretty much work. There are some kinks where it's like, if you're like, I'm still trying to figure it out, and we're going to figure it out with testing and stuff, but there are some things where if you went through the first time and didn't impound, and then you switch that, and then you do service, it does get a little funky. But Michelle's been helping me with that.
This looks really, really good.
We've been working on it. I have a question about a temporary variable I might bring up with you, Quentin.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So do you want me to give one example? Or
yeah, let's just show one, and then we can move across to
so and edit my role. So it'll bring me here. I'll go and be the defendant. And then it changes to the defendant, and then I can resume. And I have now switched to the and the checkbox.
Really, really cool. Wow.
It's awesome.
That's magic.
Cool. Aubrey, good job too to
Yeah.
Aubrey.
Jesus, I'm very impressed with you guys. This is really sensational stuff. You're gonna have to give us a lesson on how to do this, right? Like post a Teaching Tuesday on review screen.
Yeah,
And then
definitely.
I think, so the cover sheet. So this is just, that's basic questions. And then the cover sheet stuff. So the one thing that I'm still, that Caroline, I think you were trying to bring up before, was for the impoundment text, we were still trying to get that on the comments. And then Carolina had said something last night about if the court needs to do service, we should like have that on the comments as well.
So if their thing is impounded, if their address is impounded, both those aspects should be put onto the cover sheet. I
had the code working before, but there was something going on. Yeah.
So that has to be on our side.
Yeah.
It does, yeah. And Kate and I had a conversation about it and figured out what it's going to be.
Okay.
I just have to put that in upstream for everybody. I haven't done that yet.
Thanks,
If you
Vincent.
write an issue with like your and Kate's decision, I think there are people who might be able to implement that already. So
Guys, this is looking
depending on what it is, yeah.
I'm just conscious of people's time, so I do want to switch over to Aubrey and Blake and Matt. But I'd say maybe one more demo and then we're going to be there. But like, it's looking really tight. It's looking really impressive and really good, guys.
It's amazing.
The one more thing that this interview needs before it can go out is instructions to the user what to do with this when they.
Right. So we're speaking about that on Monday, right, Caroline? We're speaking about the instruction template for user. That's meeting management Monday meeting discussion. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.